End of the season. My skis wind up in the garage, and in the beginning of the season, they've got all sorts of rust on them. Do you need to worry about your skis over the summer?
You should think about it. You've got a lot invested in a pair of skis and a pair of bindings, no matter how old it is. If it's old, that means you've kept it around because you love it. And it depends on where you're storing your skis. The number one thing you really need to do is when you're done, you need to dry them off. They won't accumulate moisture, but if you leave it on there, it will rust up on you. So keep them clean and keep them dry. Band your skis together, and
Why would you band your skis together?
Just to keep them from banging around, scissoring, things like that.
Okay.
What we'll do is we'll put a storage wax on those skis if you'd like to do that, and that's where we simply just put the wax on and don't take it off until spring.
And why
or
would
until
you do that?
fall. Just to keep it moist, keep your bases fresh, and under wax. It's a protective layer. It's a protective layer on your edges. It's a protective layer on your base.
If they don't put a layer of that wax on before they store their skis, is it going to cause problems?
No, it shouldn't cause problems. Things might dry out. It all depends on where you're storing your skis, inside, outside, garage, Utah, California, Texas. It's all relative. And if you don't do anything to your skis, you can just simply bring them to us.
And you'll take care of them.
And we'll take care of them.
One of the things that I've heard through the years is that you want to loosen your bindings before you store them away for the summer. Why is that? That's
something we did historically before modern bindings as we know them now. Back when we were doing that, it was because springs were housed in plastic housing. So we would take the tension off of the overall binding. Any more modern bindings are just made with better materials, and there's just not such a need to back your dens off and take the tension off that spring. Now, it's not a bad thing to do, but you need to be ready to have that redone in the fall, and that means your technician is going to have to test that binding, which overall is a good thing, but it is an added expense.
How long would your bindings last if you're using them, let's say, 40 days a season?
Your modern bindings purchased in the last, say, 3 to 5 years should take you 10 years to get through. About 8 to 10 years, a binding manufacturer will stop indemnifying a binding, which means you cannot take it to a technician and have them service it.
But it doesn't mean they're a bad binding.
It doesn't mean they're bad binding. It just means that the binding manufacturer doesn't back the technician in the shop to work on it. And it's a liability issue. It's not a social or personal call.